Hi, in the second phase of version 2.7, we will see the first ever rerun of Firefly. Firefly has been an absolute monster of a DPS since release due to Break having a massive spotlight within the meta. But as version 3.0 is just around the corner, is the centerpiece of the Break meta still worth it? Well, here are 3 cool things and 3 annoying things about Firefly to consider before you pull. Before we start, I'll be giving away 2 supply passes / welcome moon to my subscribers at 7k subs, so make sure you subscribe. Starting off, if you do not know what Firefly does, in a nutshell, she is a fire destruction break DPS who focuses on her ultimate state, which makes Firefly enter the combustion state and takes immediate action. During this state, she increases her speed, break efficiency, and damage dealt alongside gaining an enhanced basic attack and skill, which is simply single target and blast respectively, while also both healing herself. Her normal skill does damage to a single target while losing HP and gaining energy. And her talent simply reduces the damage taken and increases effect res the lower she is, while also regenerating energy at the start of the battle. Overall, Firefly has quite the complicated kit, but really all you need to know is to get her ultimate as soon as possible and to use it to get some crazy damage, as that brings us onto the 3 cool things about Firefly. Firefly as of this time is still one of, if not the strongest DPS in the game. Her damage is not showing any signs of slowing down. Since her release, she has been outputting some of the highest damage in the game, and it still stands true. Firefly's mechanic as a break DPS, which allows double dipping into the break effect stat instead of crit rate and crit damage, while also having super high numbers on her kit, makes her kind of uncontested as the top spot of DPS. Arguments can be made for Fei Xiao and maybe even Acheron, but due to how Firefly's kit works, not only does each attack she does hurt a lot, she's also really fast, therefore also making her total DPS really high. One other extremely strong point about Firefly's kit is her enhanced skill, more specifically the ability to implant fire weakness if the enemy does not have it. Sorry Silverwolf, it seems like Hoyo is completely forgetting about you. Putting that aside though, the current embassy is a prime example of why the fire implant is so strong. Yes, there's a fire recommendation in the second half, but Firefly actually performs much better against the first half as it is 2 to 3 targets instead of 5 targets. Having the ability to just make them weak to her elements, essentially creating a fire recommendation in the first half, makes her so broken. This all makes her extremely flexible. Even without fire weak, she can still be played, and sometimes it's actually better to use her in non-fire weak halves. Not to mention, the best healer of break teams are Gallagher and Ling Sha, who are also fire, so Firefly is indirectly buffing them as well. Since this is a rerun, Firefly E1, S1, and even E2 are extremely strong. E1 makes her enhanced skill not use a skill point and ignore defense. This is an extremely strong add-on as Firefly teams are not known to be the most skill point friendly. Well, not the most friendly if you do not want to lose damage / uptime on her teammates. But regardless, if anything, this add-on just makes her now also very comfortable to play on top of just having more damage. As for E2, this simply makes her get even more turns during her ultimate state. Needless to say, it is also extremely broken, and her S1, which is a really high damage increase over her second best option, so it is definitely worth it as well. But with all that being said though, with version 3.0 coming just around the corner, I'm not so sure you should spend everything on her, as that brings us onto the 3 annoying things about Firefly. As you guys know, version 2.x was the era of break meta. A new super break mechanic was introduced, and HMC, who was the enabler for said mechanic. But just as a new mechanic was introduced in 2.x, in 3.x we'll be getting a whole new path, Remembrance, and a whole new mechanic, Summons, more specifically Memo Sprites. Just as how the spotlight was shine on break, the same spotlight will be shining on Summons as well. Therefore, everything from the new units and relics to the new MOCs and PFs will be favored for the new content. Now, I'm not saying that break will be obsolete or anything like that, but there's no denying that for most people, spending the Jades on new units will be better for the long run. Not to mention, they can actually just deny break teams altogether by locking the toughness bar if Hoyo decides to. But honestly, with that point out of the way, there aren't really any more glaring issues Firefly has. With maybe how fast Firefly is in her ultimate state, without E1, she can tend to be quite skill point inefficient, causing some potential DPS losses here and there. whether it's using enhanced basic attack in return for some heals on the healers, or missing a turn of her ultimate because you cannot use a normal skill, or even basic attacking on HMC over skill to gain skill points. And from what we have learned from the current MOC, enemies taking away skill points really hurts our clear speed, especially if the team you are running already needs to manage your skill points wisely. And talking about HMC, Firefly essentially is a non-functional unit without HMC. Thankfully, our newest 5-star in the same half of Firefly, Fugue, is also a super break enabler, so therefore she can be a replacement, but the point still stands that without HMC or Fugue, Firefly becomes a really weak unit. Due to how breaks work, without super break, when an enemy is already weakness broken, you can't really do any damage without it or crits. Well, this wasn't a big issue before, as HMC is literally a free unit. With Remembrance Trailblazer coming out, from what we have seen so far, the MC may not stay on the Harmony path for all the time now, making you have to get Fugue unless Firefly just does not work.